Hey there, it's Charlie, your local resident CASAS expert here today to talk to you about how to give an in-person CASAS exam. So this is, if you haven't bookmarked this website yet, you need to do it or memorize it. etestonline.org/html5. This is where you're going to get most anything you need from CASAS. You can install TOPS Pro, which is the TE client, which is where you get reports. You're going to sign in as the proctor or administrator of the assessment, which I'll show you how to do that. And then this is where the student also clicks take a test. So I'm going to sign in as the proctor. If you don't have credentials, you need to get them. You'll need to take a couple classes on the CASAS website, training.casas.org, I think it is, or something like that. Anyway, talk to your administrator and then you'll get the credentials. All right, so I have 4 different sessions here. They've been opened recently, one has not. The first thing I'm going to focus on today is pointing out the fact that the first 2 are in-person sessions. They're not intended to be used as remote sessions. Please do not use them as remote sessions. It gets really kind of finicky when you do, and I'll explain why in a minute as we go through this, but you're going to give an in-person, so that's the first 2 here. I'm going to give an in-person to an ELL student today. So I'm going to click manage since the session's already been started. But normally, you'll see if I hit stop, and I'm going to go ahead and stop all these sessions. You'll see that then I have start. So I can stop a session as long as there's no student there. But here's the thing. When I start a session, it's going to ask me start an on-site session or start a remote session. Well, like I said, please, if you are picking one of the first 2, then you are doing an on-site session. If you're picking one of the bottom 2 where it says remote, you're doing a remote session. Stick to that, please. You have 8 hours on before it will stop automatically. But when it does stop automatically, or when you hit stop, you've lost all your stations. So for those of us who've been around for a little bit, you remember that when we first got CASAS, we had stations set up in ESL, we had stations set up for ABE, and it was easy, and they would just be there when we'd get in, and then we would just give the computer to the student, and it was all good. It's not like that anymore. As soon as that window of time, whether it's 4 hours or 8 hours in the session runs out, or when you hit stop session, you lose all your stations. Now, it doesn't mean the stations don't exist. It just means that they're not assigned to the test. And they're not assigned to the test is very important because where they are assigned is the determinant of what test they take. So for instance, if I have computer 1234, okay, 1234, that's my computer number. If I put that number into this test, regardless of who I give the computer to, they're taking the ABE test. So if I accidentally put it in the wrong session, I could be giving an ESL student a test that they cannot take. So you have to be very careful. You don't want to frustrate them, have them walk out the door and never come back. All right, that being said, I'm going to click add stations and I just need to find that asset tag number. So if I already know it, then I can add it and click select, and there it is. Now, some people might be thinking, well, why can't I just do this and add all of them? You can absolutely do that. Any that are available will populate, but this doesn't help you know if it's already assigned as a station. So all of these are already assigned as a station, but aha, guess what? The computer I'm going to be using is not at all. In fact, the computer I'm going to be using has the number 4321. No station. That's how I know that it's not assigned to a station. And there are a couple ways to do that. I'm going to show you in another video how to do that. But for the sake of this, we're going to assume that your station is already registered. So right now that we have our stations on there, we can go ahead and direct the student to go to the eTest website. etestonline.org/html5. And they will click the take a test button. and that is going to launch their test. They'll have to run the executable file if they're using a Windows computer. But if they're using Chromebook, they'll have to use this in kiosk mode, which is a whole other video. But all right, so I'm not going to click on the executable file. I don't want to run the program. I don't need to show you that. But what I did want to show you was why it is important to make sure that the station is actually already a station. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this test on a computer that I know is actually not assigned. I'm gonna show you. Hopefully I'll be able to show you what it does so you can see it yourself. It takes sometimes a little slow, especially I'm using two different screens, so I apologize, but you should see popping up on your screen very soon yes, there you go. Please wait for your proctor to start the session or add the station to a session. So this is telling me that if I'm giving an in-person test, my station is not registered. So how do I do that? Well, see up there where it says station management, I can click on that and then I can register with station credentials. And this is just where I use my credentials as an administrator to assign the station. This would be the student's computer or the computer in my classroom that just happened to not be a station for whatever reason. But that's the key. If it says that, you want to go to station management, figure out what's going on. Now you will also see station registration with a code. That is for virtual only. That's for another video. Okay, so once the students have clicked take a test, then they're going to add the information. It's going to ask for their name, birth date, gender, and then that's it. Then they can go ahead and take the test. All right, we'll see you in the next video when we talk about giving a test remotely or virtually.